Well, it says I'm alive, but not awake. Okay, look, what we're gonna do tonight. I went to some of my notes from when I was on the. I had the radio program Happy Trails to the West. Here was Snowflake Taylor. I'm independent now, but the series is still going to go on Happy Trails to the West, either on my YouTube channel, Cowboy Ron 22, or go on cowboyron.com under Happy Trails to the West. Now that would include when you go on my website, my blog site. That will include also um, places I've been to, like Tombstone, Bisbee, Virginia City. But we all love the hero of the movies, whether it's John Wayne or the Lone Ranger. But the sidekicks really brought a lot of talent with that. Sometimes they had to have be able to sing, play. They generally had to ride when they were chasing outlaws. They generally had to be a better rider because they would have to be down the drainage ditches because the hero would be on a road with a camera car in front of them. And they played a lot of music things like that. So let's start out with the Lone Ranger was always one of my favorite ones. I think it was brought to us by Cheerios. And even today, I know that when I go out and buy cereal, I mean Cheerios. I mean the Lone Ranger and Tonto wouldn't sell me something bad. But the sidekick was Tonto. You remember the big thing in the screen? His horse's name was Scout, and it would always be a Me Good Engine. That's not politically correct anymore, and I think they made a mistake by leaving it out when they made the new Lone Ranger movie. He was born in 1912 and died in 1980. He was actually his Christian name was Harold J. Smith, and he was a Mohawk Indian from Canada. And he teamed up with Clayton Moore. And Clayton Moore is considered to be the Lone Ranger. There's some other people that did it. They even banned Clayton Moore from wearing his mask for a while when they were making another one. But Tonto had roles in earlier movies than that. So let's move on to the next one. George Gabby Hayes. Boy, I really liked him. 1895 to 1969. Now, unlike the fussy, simple cuss he played in the movies, Mr. Hayes was actually a Shakespearean actor. Lost a lot of money during the Great Depression, had to start over again. But he had that neat voice, and I like a couple of lines he had in the Roy Rogers movie. Roy and Dale had a argument, and Gabby says, like, I can't do his voice real good, but we'll give it a try. Roy, there's only two things you need to know about a woman. And Roy, bright eyes, and says, yeah, what is it, Gabby? That's the trouble. No one knows what it is. Another line I liked, Roy came up to him in one of the movies and says, Gabby, you don't work for the stagecoach no more. You don't work for the stage line no more. He says, no, sir, Bob. It's on account of what them dad burn polecats said to me. And Roy bright-eyed again a bit. Well, what'd they say? You're fired. That's what they said. In real life, he called Roy Rogers up one time and he says, I need you to pick me up. And Roy says, why? What's wrong? He says, well, I shaved my beard off and I done forgot how dad burn ugly I am. And he wanted Roy to kind of drive him someplace where he wouldn't be in view of the public. He had a TV series for a while, and he did Quaker Puff White, rice, and Quaker Puff wheat. And I can remember as a young kid, he would put this stuff in a cannon, and it was shot from cannons or something like that. I'm sure if real life is probably um, uh, air cannon of some type, if that's what they did, I don't know. But he played with many people. He played some of Gene Autry's movies and Hopalong Cassidy, and he played in John Wayne and Randolph Scott. He was just a great all-time actor and a great person. He played with John Wayne 15 times. Now, we had another series out called Cisco Kid. And a Cisco Kid was a couple Mexicans riding the West like heroes do, um, keeping women from losing their ranch and helping people and putting bad people in jail. And Leo Carrilla, born in 1881 and died in 1961, um, he was actually much older than Duncan Ronaldo, who played the Cisco Kid. And it was loosely based off of O. Henry's short story about Billy the Kid. Entirely different story, but the name was there. And I remember the movie when they would end up taking care of the outlaws and the bad people and all that. At the end of the movie, they would make some kind of quote, and then Cisco would say, "Ah, Pancho," and Pancho would say, "Ah, Cisco," and they would ride off into the sunset. I made a little note here. I used to like Wild Bill Elliott, his version of Red Rider. And he only done about 12, 14 movies, but he's considered to be the official Red Rider. And Little Beaver was his sidekick, a little Indian boy. And they start that movie, and it was like they had a great big storybook. It would open up, and the characters would step out, and they'd play. I think it was "Old Bury Me Not on the Long Prairie." It was a typical song. Robert Blake was a child actor. He went on to play Beretta and some movies. I think Blue Glider or something like that. And interesting person. But Little Beaver, and for me now, I'd like to see them bring that Wild Bill back on television, and I'd like to see them let Little Beaver this time be a boy and a girl, twins, and they could do a lot of good characters with that. And one of the lines in there in that movie, Red Ryder would always say, "I'm a peaceful guy," but he might have been peaceful, but there'd always be 4 or 5 fist fights in the movie. What else we got here? Okay, Alvin Burdett, March 18th, 1911. And he died in 1967. Now, he was better known as Smiley Burdett. And he matched up with Gene Autry. Gene Autry was a good business person and recognized this was a very talented individual. He could play approximately 20 different instruments. I've spent a lifetime learning to play a guitar, and I don't even do that very well, but this guy could play 20. His son was in some of the movies. Now, he was also a good businessman. He charged Gene $5 to write him a song. One time going down the road, he says, "Gene, how about me writing you a song for $5? And Gene says, "Well, I don't know. I don't want to buy pig in the poke." And he says, "No, sir, you won't get no pig in the poke from Smiley." And he would go to J.C. Penney's and get a bolt of checker cloth that would match his checker shirt that he saw in the movies. And he would sell that to kids at fairs and carnivals, 50 cents a piece. Good businessman. Gene went off and during the Second World War, he was a bomber pilot, and the contract ran out. And when Gene got back from the war, he had to get another sidekick, and Pat Buttram became to be a sidekick, especially in his movie, his TV show, Flying A Ranch. Now, another one I really liked, Hal Fuzzy St. John's, just called Fuzzy, born 1892. He was an early motion picture comedian, and he was a very versatile, walk on his hands, stumble, and everything. And he was played in many movies with Eddie Dean. And Eddie Dean was really good. I liked him. He wrote a Paint. And, it was a typical B Western movie. A B Western meant it was it was at the bottom of the address bar. Like a Clark Gable movie, Gone with the Wind would be an A movie, and your 60-minute movies were B westerns, and that came about during the Great Depression because they thought people weren't going to go to movies as much. And Eddie Dean is also the brother of Jimmy Dean. They used to go out and perform together, and they also had Lash LaRue in some of those movies with Eddie Dean. Lash LaRue had never done a whip in his life, but he was very talented with it. When he was offered a chance to do the part, he went and bought a whip, and he said he spent the weekend beating the devil out of himself. But he got so he could lay down, he could be drinking, lay down on a barroom floor and hit a glass at the end of the place. TV movie B stars was John Crawford. He was a musician, and I think he was on The Rifleman with Chuck Connors, and he became a soap opera star after that when he got to be older. And we had Peter Brown. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name. Lappe, born in 1935. He unfortunately died in 2016. And he portrayed Deputy John McCain with Dan Trooper on Lawman. He appeared in several soap operas. Let's see what else we got. Dale Evans played sidekicks with Roy Rogers. Dale Evans was a superhuman being. And she met Roy. She'd been married a couple times. First time she got married when she was 16. And she met him on a set, and she didn't know anything about writing at the time. And for some reason, Hollywood had her out there in high heel shoes. Now, Roy was a natural horseback rider, bar none. But he mentioned to her to be careful not to hit that horse with those high heels. And she pretty well told him to mind his own business, said she could take care of herself. And she hit the horse with the heels. And the horse went off and did run. She couldn't stop him, but Roy put Trigger in high gear, did run, rode up alongside of her and lifted her out of the saddle. She said after that, Roy was her only cowboy. They got married, ended up with a ranch out in Apple Valley, north of L.A., and did a lot of production. They had their Victorville is where they had the museum, but unfortunately, when Roy died, the state took a lot of that over from back taxes, inheritance taxes. A lot of that's been bought up and it's down in Bransonville, Missouri. Now, another good one that we've all mentioned, Dennis Weaver, born in 1924. He tried out for the Olympics. He always wanted to be a movie star. And he was introduced to us as a deputy with a limp and not particularly bright in the movies. And with Gunsmoke, which was one of the longest running TV series out there. Bonanza might have been a little bit longer. It'd be a toss-up. And then he did McCloud, and that was a long-running series, and that was a pretty good series, really a good one. Did some movies. He played the FBI agent. They got Patty Hearst free. And he played an individual driving a car with a tractor trailer keeps trying to run him down. Really suspenseful. Look it up. Now, Ken Curtis also played as Matt Dillon's deputy. And Ken Curtis was born in 1916. Played quarterback in college. And John Ford was his father-in-law. And he was making fun of hillbillies with a funny accent. And John Ford said, you ought to hone that down a little bit. And he did. And that got him a slot on Gunsmoke. But he'd been in a lot of movies. He played one of the soldiers in, I think, Fort Apache or She Wore Yellow Ribbon. And also He played in the Searchers, and really a nice little part for him. They were getting a fist fight with John Wayne's stepson, and they would go by the rules and shake hands and all that. And I think that's about all we got tonight. I think we spent enough on here. Let's see if there's anything on this back page. No, Festus. Burt Reynolds was actually in the Gunsmoke movies before he got made in big time. Okay, so remember this is Happy Trails All the West production coming to you from Arizona. I call my place the Lazy R Ranch. It's just a nickname, but I can sure be lazy.